So we just determined a whole bunch of classic stuff, and not some forum post of some of the works of Blizzard. We determined a secret Blizzard project called WoW CAMELOT just 2 days back, with epic and heroic licenses, and with CAMELOT symbols tied to nostalgia, it's almost certainly tied to Classic Plus that everyone has been talking about. Blizzard is continuing even now, just a few days back, to shut down even more private servers that might have features like they plan to implement. So what is going on? Could we technically get WoW 2, but like an alternate timeline? Think of it like the Dark Portal never reopens, we just continue in Azeroth. Maybe we go to Northrend and attack the Lich King first. Maybe we discover Pandaria before the Cataclysm and defeat Deathwing. The opportunities are endless. Let's look at everything we just learned. With so much going on with WoW and big activity times ahead, Overgear can help you a lot with their coaching service. I found it super useful, especially when strapped for time. You get one-on-one sessions for PvP, PvE, and even arena PvP. You get matched with top players and they can analyze your gameplay, they can help you set up your UI, add-ons, and help you master your class with super helpful tips and tricks. I mean, sure, you can do a lot yourself, but this can literally save you hundreds of hours of guide reading. With TBC University going full steam now, they can also help you out there as well. Best of all, if you use my code DORONS10, you will get 10% off immediately. So check out Overgear. Okay, so this time we're not actually talking about leaks like some random screenshot or some guy that knows someone at Blizzard. We had a data mine discovery of something pretty significant, but right now it is a bit too early to say what exactly it is for certain. So if you guys keep been following the news, there has been so much Classic Plus news the past month or so. I think it is undeniable that something is definitely happening with it. Outside of the interviews of Blizzard hinting that something will be happening, the most important evidence, in my opinion, is that Blizzard had shut down the private server Turtle WoW that has been running for years, which was essentially Classic Plus, just a community version, and last time they shut down Nostalrius is when we got the original Classic, and Nostalrius was prior to that running for a while as well. Now, on top of all this evidence, Blizzard just a few days back went completely with legal action against another private server called Ascension, which is essentially yet another custom fan-made WoW server with really interesting changes that is kinda out of bounds for picking regular classes and having all sorts of unorthodox characteristics, which in my opinion is yet another big hint about Classic Plus actually coming, as once again this server has been running for a while. Almost certainly Blizzard is setting the ground for Project CAMELOT. Why this new server shutdown is relevant is because based on the surveys, like the official surveys that Blizzard had sent about a year back in regards to Classic, a lot of these features were something they had kind of proposed for this new version of WoW. The entire ordeal is that Season of Discovery that mixed in classes and specs and new stories was essentially kind of like the alpha version, like the testing ground for this big Project CAMELOT that they're planning to release. Season of Discovery was framed as Found Memories, which is essentially like canon. It's not like some alternate universe sand game, it's all real. It's just that we didn't witness this part ourselves. Think of our characters only being on a set path, yet every zone had events that happened that originally we weren't a part of. Well, Season of Discovery began exploring that, but I think Classic Plus is really going to drive that point home. However, the big thing I want to talk about today is what was actually data mined, and this is bigger than most random leaks or hints because this is actually 100% legit. So licenses for WoW were data mined, the heroic and the epic license, and it is called WoW CAMELOT, which you can imagine is probably the weirdest, most random name for a WoW expansion, but when you kind of dive into it, it's actually not at all. So no, I don't think CAMELOT is going to be the name that is going to be on the release. It's probably just an internal name they're going with. And if you don't know what CAMELOT is, because I didn't know originally, this is actually a reference to the idyllic castle and the court of King Arthur from the folktale. So this is cool and all, but exactly does this have anything to do with World of Warcraft Classic? And the devil is in the details, as CAMELOT is used actually as symbolism. In a way, it can be used as a way to say something along the lines of time of nostalgia and great happiness. By extension, it's essentially the idealized magical golden period of time that once was. This symbolism, in my opinion, is almost certainly very relevant to Classic. Some people were thinking, due to the King Arthur storyline, that we could be talking about the the Arati King on the Isle, and that this could be a hint for the Last Titan or the expansion after, but personally, I think this is very relevant to Classic for a few reasons. So as we have just past mid-June, BlizzCon is happening in about 2.5 months, which will likely include both the Last Titan announcement and the Classic announcement as well, and so far, we've had a bunch of hints. I mean, first the hints that I previously mentioned, but there has been foreshadowing for something happening with Classic later this year due to the roadmap, and also the biggest hint everyone has been talking about is the fact that Blizzard organized some sort of like a closed event at their headquarters, and they invited WoW streamers, but only the Classic ones with some big NDA type scenario. I talked about all this about a month back, but in my opinion, this new data mine WoW CAMELOT definitely seals the deal that something is definitely going on. Now, in regards to what is happening with Classic, well, to not give you my wish list, I think we can kind of look at two things. I mean, probably what these two servers were doing that they just shut down, and also the official survey that they sent to gauge interest in regards to what features people would like to see if Classic Plus became a thing. Outside of like modifying certain zones and certain features, the two big things that were happening was adding new zones to Classic, like zones that actually exist in the game but that weren't originally available, like Mount Hyjal before the Cataclysm or Gilneas before the Wall was broken, because literally this is the perfect scenario for something like this. Think about it, I mean, we only saw Gilneas in Cataclysm and we know the whole storyline, but we know a whole bunch of things happen behind these walls during Classic as well, but to us, we just saw the walls, and that was that. In this scenario, we could explore something like this. The other big things is potentially changing the core game features that they kind of already attempted in Season Discovery, but maybe experimenting with like breaking the class system that we have, or really mixing it up with classes, specs, and races. They also potentially talked about adding, for example, TBC or even Cataclysm races to make them like playable in Classic, which could technically be done. I mean, for example, goblins were around already as a part of the Horde. I mean, they have been like alongside the Horde since forever. I mean, Gazlo built Orgrimmar, but they only really became playable during Cataclysm. So there are countless possibilities there, and this could be in a way like WoW 2, kind of like restarting World of Warcraft from the foundation and just doing a new thing, because everyone has been talking about how we had gone too far in retail and they have been trying to go back to the adventure type like scale to replicate it from Classic. But I think with retail, the Pandora's box was already opened and you can't really just put it back as it previously was. I think it is exciting though to see what they have planned with this CAMELOT project, because if you're discovering these licenses now, it means that the announcement might include release very shortly after it. Probably won't be some distant announcement we're only going to see like a year later. They probably already worked on a lot of stuff with Season Discovery. On the other hand, it is possible that this CAMELOT could be an alternate timeline, as there really could have their hands free. I mean, it could technically be a WoW 2 with its own like different timeline and universe. Blizzard kind of already experimented with this in Dragonfight. If you remember, like we had those scenarios like what if Arthas won, or what if the Horde and the Alliance never stopped warring each other. Depending on how it is done, it could actually be an interesting scenario. It could really give them free reign to just make a new Warcraft from scratch and just start releasing their own expansions for it. So not really like reopening the Dark Portal 6 times in a row, but doing something completely different. Think about it, the Dark Portal never opens, and instead we start expanding across Azeroth itself. Maybe going to Northern before Wrath of the Lich King, maybe discovering Pandaria before the Cataclysm. Maybe the Cataclysm never happens, maybe we defeat Deathwing before that, maybe we go into the Emerald Dream. I know it all sounds crazy, but when you think about it, if done right, and of course a big point on if done right, we could be in for that long reset at WoW 2 that Blizzard has been foreshadowing since forever, but not like building the game anew in Unreal Engine and starting everything with a completely clean slate. No, kind of starting from the same beginning, but just an alternate event, alternate scenarios start happening. Thanks for watching. Check out what the ex-Blizzard CEO said about WoW 2 happening and the Lich King, and also subscribe to my brand new Witcher Lore channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.